We're back at the Cincinnati, the 1999 Cincinnati Aero 500, the rust removal from the shipping damage that occurred from the company leaving it down on the dock for a few days and then in their yard for a few weeks. So you can see the table. It's still pretty rusty. I have been working on all the way covers, and I've got those in pretty good shape. It's taken me a few days of work. I can show before and after of these. These guys are the innermost accordion of the front way cover, and they were unaffected, but this guy was the outermost one, and it was a disaster. So we got those done, and the back pretty well all cleaned up, and all we used was a piece of Scotch-Brite and some navel jelly, and then everything's coated in WD-40 so it won't rust again until I can get some coolant flowing on them. Next thing is this. Now I've done a quick tester right here, and this is real light Scotch-Briting with the navel jelly, and then I washed it with damp towels, and then several times, and then coated it with WD-40. This, based on my experience with the way covers, this is heavier rust. This, especially right in here, this is going to take some sanding to get this down. So probably what I'm going to do is just hit the whole table with a DA and real light grit, like I think it's got 200 grit paper on it that's pretty wore out. So we'll DA the whole table, and then we'll navel jelly the whole table, and I'll cover a lot of that so you can see how well it works. Before I go ahead and DA this table, we'll just do a quick test. This is the area I've already done, just real lightly. This is an area that has varying degrees of rust. It's quite heavy up there. I can turn this so you can see that a little better. Right there. So it's quite heavy right there, bleeding into this, which is incredibly heavy. This is just light over here, but you can see that just Scotch-Briting it does not remove it whatsoever. So here's the navel jelly. Just put a little bit on my pad. Do this back side of the table as well, so it's pretty rough. A lot of elbow grease. Okay, just have some dry towels here. We'll wipe this off. Now I'm not going to hit this with a bunch of water because I'm still going to abrade the table with that DA and keep working on this. But you get the gist. Just a little bit of work, it brings us right down to bare steel. This stuff out here is quite heavy. So that's why I think the DA will help just a little bit. The goal is not to remove any material off the table and affect the reference surface here, but we're going to have to do something to get this cleaned up. 200 grit again, wore out 200 grit, so there's very little chance that we're going to remove any sort of meaningful material. Okay, here we go. Got our DA. And this paper is just wore up, and it's probably closer to 320. And let's give it a go. Okay, we're looking better already, so now we'll just continue on with a whole bunch of elbow grease and do the best I can at getting all the rust out of the T-slots as well. It's kind of heavy down in there, and I just don't want the rust collecting in the coolant and contaminating the coolant. That's my biggest worry. There we go. After many hours, actually many days of scrubbing and sanding with the DA and that real fine grit sandpaper and a whole pile of navel jelly, we got this thing cleaned up. It's looking good in here. So the next thing we got to do is get an Ethernet card in this thing. So we're going to take an Ethernet card from the other machine and pop it in here. And we're also going to transfer our lights. So in my other machine I had some pretty nice LED lights. And move those over. And this guy's going to be getting close. Of course we got to still get the coolant trays in and mix up some coolant and get that going. But we're doing good. Next thing I've done is leveled the machine as best as I can. This machinist level is what I have. It's an 8-inch Starrett, and each graduation is 5 thou per foot. It's not quite as accurate as what the book recommends, but I figure I've spent quite a bit of time on this, moving this thing back and forth and making sure that this remains level way back, way forward, and left and right. So I think we're in pretty good shape here. Okay, as you saw, I've had the geniuses out here interrupting the boot process so that we could gain access to the Windows side of this, and we had to find the drivers for the ancient Ethernet card and we checked the driver download to make sure it was bug free. It was good, so we downloaded that, unzipped it, and saved it all to a floppy, which requires this little box I have that is a USB powered floppy drive. And then again, interrupted the computer boot process, gained access to the Windows side of it, installed all of the drivers, and got the settings hooked up and set basically for the Ethernet. So now what I have is I have a little switch down here, and wire goes up to the Ethernet port here. Card is all installed. We're up and running. And basically, coming back out of the switch, I have a cord here that runs over to an interior room over there, where I can sit inside and be quiet and program the machine. Alright, I've got the pump bolted down. In my other machine, I have this little screen right here to keep some of the big particulate out of this chamber, and that just slides out and you can clean it. I still need a washdown hose over here. This, I'm pretty sure, is a one-way check valve. Keeps all the coolant from backflowing, so it'll start up much quicker. This is going to hook up here, so when I turn the coolant pump on to be ready to go, this is running the wrong direction, so what I have to do is reverse 2 wires and check and verify that this runs the correct direction. Once that is done, I still have to put on the transfer tube between the 2 coolant tanks and slide the cover on. And this guy will be ready to cut. One of the things that I've bailed on is this Renishaw tool setter, TS27R. I am working with Renishaw right now. See, I've never used a Renishaw product. I've never used a tool setter, automatic anyways, in a CNC application before. It's broken anyways. I need to source some parts if I feel confident I can figure this out. But I've taken that out for right now. Mostly so I could clean the table. Get this guy cleaned up if I decide to put it back in and go from there. But I was curious if the machine had any programs loaded in it, and it did. This Tool Pro program. So nothing has been added since this was installed. I'm not sure what this Oakley spindle thing is. I see some warm-up things. But what does the Tool Probe do? So let's run that program and see. Alright. I've got my work cut out for me now. I need to figure out what G68 is. Looks like they did a tool change to tool 6, tool 0, G68. Now I've never done this before, so that's my homework now.